Hello, hello, hello. Greetings, everyone. So tonight is about the foundation of financial security. Okay. So I have a few things to discuss tonight and a few things that I would love any feedback or, questions about as well, or any thoughts that you may have. So the first thing for today is that most people build their lives like a house. But what happens if the foundation isn't protected, right? So one of those things is you have to build the house from what? The ground up. You can't build it upside down. So you have to start with the foundation in order for you to reach those financial successes and goals that you may have in mind. But if that foundation starts getting cracks or anything starts happening or, life is happening beforehand and you don't have that foundation protected, then your house or your financial stability may start to crumble. So what is financial security? It's definitely more than having money. It's about having a plan, because I'm going to bring on some speakers throughout the course of these live streams that will talk to you about how they were making six figures, out of out of college, right into, six figures. But because they did not understand their money, they didn't understand credit, they didn't understand, not, exceeding your income with your bills and your expenses. A lot of times we live right there at the point where our salary pays for everything that we have and or want. And then one check. So a lot of people that may be making a lot of money are still going into the red every month because they're not securing their financial foundation. And then if anything happens, as we know, I've shared, we've experienced a lot of different things economically, with all types of increases in taxes and increases in food and just a lot of additional expenses. And what happens then if all of your expenses are already right at the max, and then milk goes up 40 cents a gallon, right? How do you accommodate your what you want and what you're used to with the income that hasn't changed? So you want to make sure that is secure. A lot of that is there are ways to protect your income if something was to happen to you. And those are things that we'll be getting into along this journey. How do I protect my income? How do I make sure that I have the financial security that I want in my current state as well as in the future as I make more money? And that is the goal, right? To be able to make more money, to save more money, and to be able to retire at a reasonable age without having the need to go back to work, unless you want to, of course. So, some of the common misconceptions that we see, is like, I'm young, I don't need protection. A couple things about that. There are too many people of all ages being injured at work, at school, just living life and being diagnosed or, having to deal with some major health issue that they had no idea was coming their way. And they hit puberty or they hit a certain age in their life, and it could be a mental situation. There's a lot of things that could happen, and it can happen when you're young. That's one side of it, right? The other side is, wouldn't you much rather get the protection you need now at, let's just say 21, 25, for a fourth of the cost? Because as you get older, every year that you get older, the expenses of insurance and coverage for your health, your life and death insurance, those things cost more. And what you could get at 21 as opposed to 35 is going to be very different. And you'd rather keep that low price for the duration and be able to get the maximum benefits to protect your income and your family. So I have savings. That's enough. With this changing economy, how much savings do you really have? Because a lot of people during COVID and even now have been out of work 2 years. They were out of work for the entire, 2020 to 2021, or they started back, they lost that job. A lot of things happened, but the expenses did not go down because now you can't go in all the stores. You're paying for delivery. That raised a lot of expenses for people, right? And so how long? We have another global pandemic or another, financial crisis in the market or in the world. And how much savings do you have? A lot of people, are confident and feel good with having a year, of savings that they could pay their bills for at least a year. That gives people some space. But we never know what can happen in that year. When that something happens in that year that you may have savings, your medical situation or your financial, whatever is going on that caused you not to have, that income could worsen, could have more out-of-pocket cost. There's so many variables that we need to consider that could happen, right? So nothing will happen to me. Inshallah, we're all going to live a long, healthy, productive life until Allah brings us back home. But we don't know when that time is. It could be any time. I mean, we take for granted that we leave from our house and go to work or go to the grocery store or go pick our kids up or whatever it is that we're doing, and that we come back home safely and soundly. Some people don't. And so we need to be considering that anything could happen at any time. Tomorrow is not promised. The rest of today is not promised. Every day is a blessing. So next, to talk about protecting what you've built. If you've put in the time to build a career or a business or a, way of life that provides a certain level of income, and that's even if you're doing it right. You have a certain level of income and you're only paying 30%, towards any type of bills or, mortgages, house rent, whatever that is. And they're able to save a third, and all of that and invest. I mean, that is amazing. But guess what? You need to protect that. You took time in your life to dedicate to having a certain income, to doing the work to keep the income, to doing all those things. And then what happens if you do not protect it? Everything that you worked for. And I'm not saying this to be a, gloom, doom type of person. I'm just saying this to say that the reality is we have to protect what God has given us. You want to protect your family. So the things that happen to you financially could impact your family down the road. Yes, maybe you have 2-3 years of savings and your family is good and they're still able to do exactly what they did before that loss of income, right? And then you run out because that time moved faster and that money went, or I should say the money went faster than the time, right? And now your family is not as protected as you would have liked for them to be. Your future goals, right? Don't you want to make sure that what you're putting in now is going to be there later in life when you've planned these amazing things for your family, for your legacy? You want to make sure it's there. So you want to put into place a plan, whether that be a living estate, a will. I mean, there's variances in that, and we would definitely talk about that throughout these various live streams. But we need to consider that. If you have future goals, you need to protect what you have now while you're growing and building for that future. The time is now. And this is nothing to say that you should have did it this time. We can't go back and change anything. But what we can do is learn the things we need to learn and start applying them one step at a time until we get to that point where we are able to save, invest, as well as pay our bills and not be at a loss trying to figure it out every month or trying to, figure out if we can take this vacation or if we can get our kids things and making sure that we're in a position to do what is needed for our family. So, some of the questions that I would like you guys to consider along this journey is, what does financial security mean to you? Right? And then, have you had an unexpected expense that changed everything? And let me tell you, I have. You just never know. You can have some type of situation where now you have a medical bill that you weren't expecting. You broke something, you needed to pay, some different, your car breaks down and now you're paying for Ubers and Lyfts and now you're trying to get the car fixed. I mean, it could be a small thing, especially if you're not prepared. I would rather be inconvenienced than lose everything that I have, right? So my car breaks down today and I'm like, okay, how much is it? I've got savings here that can help pay for that. Or I'm not prepared, and once my car is down, everything else falls apart. I can't get to work, I can't get the kids to school, I can't, function in my day-to-day like normal. I'm spending out more money to try to keep and continue this way of life, and now I'm going into my savings. And this isn't the savings that was going to pay the mortgage. I mean, this is the savings that was going to pay the mortgage and the utilities and the insurances and things if something was to happen. And when you're saying that, a lot of times we're thinking about some big catastrophe, but the smallest thing can throw off your finances if you're not prepared. And so I'm just asking you to walk alongside me and allow me to partner with you while you make the changes that are necessary to get you to that place where you have less stress and less worry and you can prepare for the future. Whatever God brings to us, let us be prepared for that, right? So protection isn't about fear. It's about peace of mind, right? So a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about anything. But Allah told us that you have to tie your camel. You have to do your part. It's not that I'm fearful that the people are going to just come and get my camel or that my camel's just going to go astray. But also don't I want to prevent for the possibility of those things happening. So I'm going to tie the camel. Therefore, if it's gone when I get back, that must have been a part of Allah's plan. Maybe that person who saw the camel needed that camel more than I needed it. Maybe God already had another camel with an extra hump, being funny. But for me later on, and this gift is going to help this person, you never know what that gift is going to do for them. But in order for us to be blessed, we have to do what is asked of us, and we have to do our part. And our part when it comes to our finances is really taking a look at what we have, how we can protect it, and then allowing everything else to happen. Because whatever the plan is going to happen. But that doesn't mean you don't protect your assets. This is a part of stewardship. Being a good steward of your money. Being a good handler of your things. Right? So all of that, is a part of, this faith-based mission that I have. And as we continue to grow and as we continue to talk and you guys follow me, you'll see that even though we're talking about finances, even though we're talking about insurance and real estate and debt and credit, things that are of this world, I'm going to also speak from a perspective of faith and knowing that God is going to protect us, but also that God has given us the tools to protect the things here on earth as well, and that we have to do our part. So again, I just want to say, that protection isn't about fear. It's about peace of mind. And if you have any challenges or any questions or need some guidance in how to protect your finances, how to protect your money and your future generational wealth, please feel free to reach out to me. You can call or text me. The number is 678-656-2154, as well as email me, april.martinez@metrobrokers.com. I am powered by, when it comes to real estate, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Metro Brokers. I also partner with World System Builders for individual insurance plans and policies, as well as financial literacy. And I also work with Colonial Life to provide business-to-business insurance for employees of any job that you may be working, any business. So feel free to reach out. I thank you guys for joining, and I look forward to talking to you on Wednesday with the habits that build wealth. Let's talk about it. Thank you guys. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.